You are now entering the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. We in the building. High priestess in the building, didn't let my fears kill me. Transmuted my pain in that cleanse in the rain. Found out I was working and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became. So good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're going to give it a couple minutes as the notifications kind of go out and about.
Yes, it's so funny when I watch you in your show and how you just kind of stand there, you kind of sit, wait for people to join. And it's just fun to see everybody. Good morning, good morning. Everybody gets all excited.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
yeah,
awesome. Like, I like to talk. So it just kind of it goes into what I normally love to do. I just love to shoot the shit and talk about life. Like, why not, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And the idea of podcasts has been coming around me for probably since the beginning of my path, but it just was like, okay, and maybe, and this. And then I was like, I have a platform that I already use, that I
Wow.
already have people who watch me. Why not do the live? Like, hello.
Yes. And I love that you're interviewing people because I saw that you get somebody else coming next week.
Right, right,
And
right,
that's
right,
just lovely and give people ideas of, what
right.
to do in their lives, and it's crazy how much podcasts have risen in
Yes,
popularity because it is another way to, digesting content. People don't actually have to look at us, they can just listen.
right, right,
Um,
right.
we're all looking for a community. It's different. It's like this community that you kinda carry in your pocket, at least the podcasting and the books and everything. I carry 'em.
Right, right.
I know these people, and they're so huge in my life, like, Joe Dispenza, Dane
Right,
Heer, all the people that we listen to, and
right,
it's just
right.
lovely, but
Good.
you're totally for it, honey. You're just made for it.
It's just here, right? So, good morning, whoever's in the tribe. It says Facebook
Good
user, so we have no
morning.
idea who you are.
I can
But
hear
Gabby, good morning, and Christina, good
Christina.
morning.
Hi, love. It's been forever.
So, good morning, and welcome to the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. I am your host, Divine Moon Goddess, and today I have a special guest, Nicole Lasswell, who is also known as the Inner Peace Broker. And if you don't know her, she is a Theta healer, which we're going to get into, but also Reiki and Access Bar practitioner. So, very beautiful trait. And one of the things this month, and it's probably not even anything about women's anything this month, but I chose this month to make it a women's empowerment month. And so I started to look at the women around me, and I started to think of who's inspired me, who's assisted me on some way, shape, or form, and who has a profound story that they've already been through, even if they're not where they need to be or where they think they should be. Who has a story that could hit my viewers in a profound way? And so, yes, we're on the top of that list.
Oh,
If you guys don't know, she's the one I always talk about when I'm talking about theta healing and meditative state healing. She's the one in this earlier this year that I did 2 sessions with her, one in January and one in March. And the one in March was the explosive one that was a game changer for me. Really, I know we're going to get all emotional.
I
Get all emotional about it. But good morning, Sierra. Good morning, Monica. So, of course, I want to talk about it because I just think it is phenomenal and definitely a huge way to release some stuff that we're holding on to, especially deep in the soul. But of course, we want to know, and they're going to want to know. I've heard a lot of these stories, but I love hearing them again. Is how did you get here? Like, what brought you here?
um, to the healings to the healing path, basically.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think it's funny because when you really go back, and we talk about past lives and childhood and all this other stuff. I'm like, I think I've been on this path for many, many lifetimes. But it really, the wake up is really when I would say
Right.
when you get on the path. Um, it came oh my gosh, we've had so many things happen in our lives, but I would say that having children on the spectrum was the moment where I was like, "Oh, I this is beyond me. I need to surrender so much." I thought I had it, I thought I was pretty good at handling everything. I'm very Virgo, very achievement oriented and organized, get nice, you know,
Yeah.
everything in its place. But having children on the spectrum is beyond anything that anybody could ever be prepared for, and having children in general, period. But
Mhm.
Will, my oldest, he was very difficult, and it's not so much that he was difficult as I didn't understand him. And there's so many stories that got me to that point. It's crazy when you think back of how, your hand is always being held. You just don't know it at the time until you start paying attention. You're
Right.
like, "Oh my gosh, somebody picked my hand up and moved me from point A to point B to point, C." And with Will, the story that I love to tell every time is my come to Jesus, come to universe, whatever you wanna call it, moment. And, um, Will had just been diagnosed, and he had all these things that he did, this running around, and he ran around the couch, and, he couldn't help himself. He's just this is who he was, and he was only about 3 years old, and I'm sitting there and watching Kung Fu Panda for, like, oh my gosh, the 100th time, and not it's not even a joke. This is a thing
Right.
with children on the spectrum. They're very repetitive. And I mean children in general, but this is a whole other level that you're not prepared for. And I'm there and I'm just staring into nothing, and then all of a sudden I just lock into the movie, and I just go and kind of sit down, and it's very involuntary. It almost like I sat down and I get to the scene in the movie where there's Master Oogway, the very wise turtle that I really want to be,
I
and
love him.
Master Shifu, who I completely see myself as,
Right.
and, Master Chief was running up there and says, "Oh my gosh, the bad guy's coming. I got bad news," he says. He's like and then Master Oogway, the turtle, says, "There are no such things as good news or bad news. They're just news." And that really, like, drew me in. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And
Right.
he goes, "The bad guy's coming." He's like, "Oh, that is bad news. Unless you fulfill your destiny or the panda fulfills his." He's like, "What are you talking about?" You have to let go of the illusion of control. And all of a sudden, I really locked in.
Right.
And he says, "Look at this tree, Shifu. I can't make it blossom before it's time or bear fruit when I want it to." He's like, "Yeah, but you can make the fruit fall." And he smacks the tree and the fruit
Mhm.
fall, except there's more extra falling when he doesn't want them to fall, which is hilarious. And then he says, "And I can plant the seed where I want it." He's all pissed, just like me. I'm like, "Why can't I figure this out?" He's like, "Yes, but you may want an apple or an orange, but you will still get a peach." He goes, "But a peach can't defeat the bad guy. Maybe it can if you guide it, if you nurture it, if you believe in it." And at that moment, I realized that Will was my peach, and I needed to come to terms with what was being given to me and how to make it best happen. And from that point on, I just opened up to the universe to show me, and the universe showed me. All of a sudden, Reiki showed up, and then meditation. And I mean, it was just like this beautiful bridge being formed underneath my feet just as I walked in the faith that it would be working out. As soon as I had fear, it kind of like, I could see it shaky but at the same time, something would come in to kind of calm me down. It's going to be okay. Just do this thing that will bring something to you. So I had to be nothing like parenting a child on the spectrum to really make you naked in a way that you drop all your programs, all your shit, because guess what? This is gonna take time and patience. Oh my gosh, patience. I thought I was a patient person. I would say I'm at the level of sainthood now.
I can concur to that. You
There's some
do have
shit that
you
goes on in there. I'm not saying it. I'm saying, yeah, you know.
for those who don't know what being on the spectrum means, what does that mean
Yes.
when your
Okay.
child's on the
Okay.
spectrum?
So, people with autism, it's called the autism spectrum disorder, and ADHD. Sorry, Asperger's has now been lumped into this whole thing. So if you have Asperger's, you're ASD, autism spectrum disorder. And they basically say every dot on the spectrum is a another human being because it encompasses so many people and so many different things. But usually it's usually followed with neurodivergent issues. So, for example, some people are my son, for example, loud noises are very hard for him, especially when he was younger. He was just something would fall. It was never his eyes; it was always his ears.
Mm,
But at the same time, light. I remember driving to school, and it was just we would get that morning sun, and he would cry. I mean, like cry. It wasn't just can I put some sunglasses on him? It was a lot. So anytime we went out, you have these outbursts of tantrums when they're little because they don't have a way to communicate at the time, especially Will. Will was not verbal for a while. Now he's verbal. The kid's like a whole other level. I attribute that to a lot of the work I've done with him because we do Reiki still. We do all of the energetic stuff with him. I've given him affirmations. I mean, we have worked on this to get him to where he
right,
is.
right.
But yeah, autism it's just a huge spectrum. I would say a lot of us could say, I think I have a little bit of that. Like
Yeah.
we can't let something go. They're very rigid. So rigid means we have a schedule. And if we don't go through the schedule and I don't know what's coming, you are freaking me out now. Anxiety hits and what's going to happen next versus like it's okay dude, we're going to go to the supermarket, we're going to go pick up the stuff, and then we're going to go home. And you have to kind of explain it to them so they because they don't some,
Right.
and I say they, but and again different in every person, but for Will it helps him to have what they call a visual story so that you see little cartoons. This is the store, this is what it looks like, this is you, this is me, and this is what we're going to do. And then we're going to come back home and you're going to have some iPad time because you did such a great job for hanging out. It's a very it's almost like and I hope nobody takes offense to this because it's not offense, it's more of a you're teaching a child that's so open, so I would say they're just their spirit is too big for their body and or their body
Right.
there was just some things that and my mom likes to say that they're the next evolution in humankind, which is
Mm,
beautiful. Like, I love that.
I love
Um,
it.
but it's like you need to teach them how to be human, and it's like a little alien, and you gotta be like, "Okay, well, this is what we do here. This is how
Right.
we look when we're excited or we're sad. Can you try that out?" And then but it's a constant because there's social aspects. They also have a very tough time reading people. They read us because they live with us, but you have to teach them this is what mad looks like. Or like, okay, the other day we go to Taekwondo and the kid, just for fun, he got the notion that sitting on top of car hoods is cool. So I'm picking up my other one and it's a mess. The kids everywhere and he's outside waiting because I told him, please just stand right there. No. And I look out the window and there he is smiling with his iPad on someone else's car hood, not ours. And I go out there, "Get down from there." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "You're not allowed to sit on people's cars like that." "But I look cool."
Right.
I understand, but you can bend someone's hood. Like, the fact that you have to explain everything, they don't
Right.
see that there's impulsivity too. On top of it, he's a Sagittarius, so I'm like,
Oh, the
"Oh, the
rebel.
impulsivity and the fire and the rebel."
The rebel.
Someone knows Sagittarius. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
You're
I was talking about that, that in my life, I have just been the rebel. I have been the just natural rebel. I've rebelled against every damn thing that's come my way. And to the point where, I just turned 42 and now I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I rebelling against everything? Do I need to rebel against everything anymore? Or can I just, go along with it now?
just be. We need them. We need people to be rebellious so that we don't get to stuck on what we think should be, and That's another
Right.
beautiful thing about autism. He's taught me
Right.
how to be like, "Why do we do these things?"
Right, the why. Why? Why? And it's crazy because a lot of things that you say that like kids on the spectrum, I feel like I have so much of that that I and of course in my day we didn't even have ADHD, none of that was diagnosed back then anyway, which I have a lot of the different characteristics and being in that way of just not have needing to question everything, not
Yes.
not being able to just take like what you say, like that doesn't work with me. Like, okay, sure. Good morning, you guys. We are live. Good morning, Melissa, Betty, Debbie, Brenda, Sasha, Kat, Renee. Just so you guys do know, this is a live show. Some of them are pre-recorded, but this one is live this morning. So of course, I commend you. I could not imagine of being a mother of two on the spectrum. And because not only that, of just being mom, you have done some phenomenal things in your career. I mean, you got some titles behind you. So let's talk about it because you've done some things, you've made it happen.
I think it's the Virgo also. And then I see Virgo, Cancer rising, and then my moon is Taurus. So I'm like that, very grounded, love
Hmm.
my people, love my thing. I like to be
Stubborn.
in this earth, like let's explore, let's learn. So I think that's part of just my makeup. I've always enjoyed school. I think I'm a little not think, I know I'm a little nerd at heart. It's fun. I wanna
Learning.
learn how to do it. But yeah, I have, let's see, from previous to all of my healing career, I was a professor of Spanish. I have a master's degree in modern languages, and I taught for 15 years at the university, for 13 years. So I taught high school, under little kiddos. The kiddos were very difficult. I didn't have kids at the time, so the kindergartners and second graders, whew, I'd rather just go to college or high school. Open up your books, let's go.
Yeah.
But then I had my munch kids. I'm like, they're so cute. They just take a lot of
Yeah.
effort. It's just a lot of physical energy. And ADHD or not, they're just children and they have beautiful energy and they are everywhere. And we're really not made to be sitting into even adults. We're not made to be sitting down on for more than 20 minutes, actually, because I taught Spanish, so languages. There's only so much that your brain can come in and take on,
Mhm.
and then you need a break. And so imagine that for
Yeah,
little kiddos. Um,
right.
so that, oh, Debbie, you're so cute.
Had to put that up there. Well, I feel like elementary school in general, it's getting you in line for the workforce, not necessarily to have you pursue anything that you actually like. It's more just fall in line, listen. This is get into society and play the role. I
Absolutely.
wish school was different and catered more, which you do see some with the
Yeah.
magnet schools. They do have some that kind of branch off, but you really have to push your children or switch your children around because public school is not.
Well, you have to be an active parent. That's
That
the
too.
thing, that you have to be an active parent. As much as, like, you're tired and you're working, I know as a working parent, it can be exhausting.
Right.
But at the same time, um, it's crazy how fast it blows by when I think my boys are almost 12. Will's my Sagittarius, 12 on the 15th, and, Stevie's 9, and, I mean, that just feels like yesterday that they came into the world, and it's not. It really it just
Right.
the everyday feels like a drumming, and I go, and I know, but this is the formative time that will give you your adults. Everybody that I work with Theta Healing, it's a lot of childhood trauma, a lot of inner child stuff. So, it's not to put a lot of shit on us parents, because they're still going to perceive whatever event happens as a child. Again,
Right.
it's not a fully developed brain, so they were gonna see the reality in a very different way that we see it. But you have to be there to guide them and teach them how to deal with their emotions, to name the emotions, to, uh, speak for themselves. This is a good thing about the rebel, is very important archetype, because we are about creating and destroying these, all these structures that we create in our lives to have the experience of human experience of a spiritual being having the human, that's what we came for.
Right.
So,
Right.
absolutely necessary to have the rebel and to have the structures and all this, but the parents, that's why we're there, and as exhausting as it can be, I need a pep talk from time to time as well.
Right, right. Because it's not
Yeah.
easy. I mean, I'm just going to tell you guys, Nicole, she has a lot on her plate that she does with full time. I'm not sure I mean, because you have a healer, you have clients, you're going to school right now, you're
Yes.
learning something
Music.
that you're
I'm
very
in music
passionate.
theory and yeah.
So, like, what a lot of people, because we hear it a lot of time. I don't have time. I don't have time. I can't do this, and we get very overwhelmed with children and kind of lose ourselves in that aspect of motherhood, should I say? So, how do you do it? How do you get it done and still be able to smile and pleasant and patience? Um,
That's I think that's the biggest question I get all the time. I really do walk the talk, which is, like that
mhm,
course that I gave not too long ago. Uh, I because of theta healing, because of Reiki, because of will, I and because of my mother, because my mom had a stroke when she was 54 and she lives with us and everything. And that's an amazing journey also all its own. But
mhm,
watching people, especially women who have basically killed themselves because that's what ends up happening. We have all these beautiful women who have amazing lives and then breast cancer, stroke, heart disease, cancer period. And it's all of that repressed, like, no, I got to keep this shit on the down because I need to take care of everybody else. Well, what
right,
happens is your body takes that toll and it gets to a point where your body's like, I'm done.
right.
And and your body's been telling you this whole time, "Please stop eating that. Please go to bed early. Please drink more water." Like, it's constantly telling you. So, how I do it is I'm listening and I am acting. The theta healing practice of looking for those belief systems. So, as soon as I get triggered by anything, let's say the boys, usually the morning rush is my trigger, my most biggest trigger. Good morning. Um, I know it's mine because the trigger, it's usually something that sits way at the bottom. For example, this is what happens in my head. So we're gonna be late. Okay. What's the worst thing about us being late? Because that's what's getting me agitated. The kids aren't getting ready. Why aren't your shoes on? Why do I have to tell you every time? Why is it on me? So
Right,
all of these beliefs are running in the background. And as I'm listening, I can either these are the two options, and I've noticed that one of them doesn't really work well. Well, so that's when I go, get your shoes on. We gotta go. La, la, la. I just spit it out to the poor kid. Poor kid's trying because he's somewhere. It's for them, but it's a whole other level at this household of patience.
right,
Um, you got to say it at least 20 times, but that. And so my worst thing, well, if we're late, um, the teacher's going to be upset and I am intruding on their time. And what's the worst thing about me intruding on other people's time by being late? They're not I'm not honoring them and they're not going to like me anymore. What's the worst thing about them not liking me anymore? The boys aren't going to be taken care of because it's their teachers, and so that means that they're not going to take care of them anymore. And what's the worst thing about the boys not being taken up? Oh my gosh, um, they're going to be left alone. They're going to be a failure in society. And the worst thing is, I didn't do my job as mother. What's the worst thing of that? I failed as
right.
a human being and in my purpose in life. And what's the worst thing about that? What the hell did I come here for? I mean, I know it sounds like a lot, everybody. I'm not
Right.
saying I'm not saying, but since I do it so often, I can jump straight down to, "Oh, this is my fear of that," and I can take a deep breath right then and there, which is what I've taught the boys, just and then I have all these little things I say. Return to sender with consciousness, because
Mhm.
that's one of the things that we tend to pick up on other people's energies. So it's like, oh, maybe this is not mine, and I'm picking up on it. So return to sender with consciousness. I stand in my power now. I am Nicole. You say your name. I know who I am. All is well always. Because in the grand scheme of things, the universe
Right.
continues. And all of a sudden, if you pay attention to your body, because again, you're training your brain to come down from the ledge. Because you will, when you go there, or when I go there, fight, flight, or freeze is on. So, and those are your adrenals, and that's where the adrenal fatigue comes from. So, what you want to do is be able to, do I really have to yell at anybody? Is this really that important? No. Okay,
Right.
cool. And
Right.
then come continue. And every time a trigger comes in, which is a lot, I'm not saying I am a saint. This, you should hear this shit goes in my head. Sometimes I wanna stab a motherfucker. And I'll tell my husband, I'm like, "I wanna stab you." He's like, "Whoa!" But it's just to show you that that darkness
Right.
in there.
It's
Each and every
there.
one of us is very capable of doing the worst things. So as soon as he goes like, "Oh, how can anybody do that?" I'm like, "Oh, let me tell you.
It's there. It's always there.
Anybody can do that, and it's terrible where you can go." So the idea is to be able to catch yourself, love yourself more, don't give yourself more shit for being angry because it's just the biology you got, it's all the programs you got. It's just how do I come back to me, come back to this, be grounded into Mother Earth, that's another thing I do, connected
Mhm.
to 7th plane. I'm back in the present time, what are we doing? And
Right.
then I can smile again.
I want to touch on that because that is something I noticed. And you guys know I say this all the time and I talk about theta healing religiously now because I am a believer about it and what it can do for you and the pre programming. And in the beginning, because I'm very still in the beginning of my path of sitting in this seat and being this spiritual healer that I am. So I'm newly in this within the last 2.5 years, a little bit over 2.5 years now, going on three. But I noticed that that was key information that was missing. I think that unfortunately, a lot of us coming into spirituality, we're so fucking lost that we don't have these vital keys to help us direct. We're just really lost. And the part about that, which I loved in the session, but the first session I didn't quite get it. I didn't quite understand completely. It was the second session that just really hit home. But that, like, what's the worst that can happen? And it made me have to play it out in my head of this,
Yes.
what is the worst in this situation? And it always goes to your ego shit, that shadow work kind of tie ego of failure, fear, abandonment, unworthiness. It always
Yes,
stems to
yes.
these core, and the words you used were programming. And what it made me in, okay, I have the Virgo in me, so analytical, logical kind of thinking. I love it, right? And it gets me to
Yes.
thinking. And it's crazy how we have been pre-programmed to believe on so many levels that either we're smaller than what we are, that we're incapable, that we're less than. Even if on a day to day basis we're thriving and we think we're thriving, to
Yeah.
the core of us doesn't match. And this is why we're still struggling, or this is why we're still going through what we're going through. And I love that part about it because it's as simple as it is. And I use it in my practice now, I use it as a technique
Good,
in
good.
my one-on-one sessions. Is like, right now, tell me what's the worst, what's the worst, what's coming to you, don't overthink it. And it's amazing how some people will just have that aha moment in that moment with it,
Every
like,
time,
oh
every
shit.
time. And if you'll notice, you don't guide you guide the person there, but
Right.
it really the person guiding you by you asking those questions, they're the ones that know. Um, it's one of those, uh when people say, "Well, can you read me?" Like, it's kinda funny because you
Right.
guys do have that, like, "Read me, tell me what's wrong with me."
Right.
And it's like, I would love to, but if we really wanna get to the meat of things, I can tell you all
Right.
day.
Right.
But if you're not seeing it from your side and you're not like, because what's beautiful, and I'm sure you've had this happen with your clients, when you ask him what's the worst thing, and then you take him to the space in which it happened,
Right.
they see it.
Right. Right.
And all of a sudden, it makes sense to them. It's like me, when I finally see I'm like, "Oh, that's what I'm carrying."
Right.
And I know that some people get all, I don't wanna say upset, but yeah, it's upsetting sometimes, and you're like, "I thought I healed this. I thought
Right.
I was done with
It's a
this."
frustration. Like, are you kidding me? Like, really? Really? This is what's my block, like right now, this is it. Because, I used to get very frustrated at stuff like that. Like, really, why am I still here in this space going through the same stuff? It is a frustration, because it's like I'm doing everything that you guys are telling me. And I have this. A lot of people are always like, I'm doing everything. And it's like, okay, calm down. Wait, just, chill out. There's levels. And, I always have to bring the onion, go back to the onion. There's
Yes.
layers to this because honestly, your higher self knows that if you strip down all those layers at once, most likely you can't take it. One.
And that's the thing, we are embodied. Our
Mhm.
brain has I mean, and it's funny because when you think about it, if we are truly, which I believe, we are truly, uh, this creation, complete consciousness. Because if you look at our body and how amazing it is and what it can do and how it functions,
Right.
it's magic, dude. This is miracles all the time,
Right.
everything it does, and you have this deep gratitude for what it can do. But then you also have a deep respect for it that it takes, when they teach you about, developing habits in this human form, they say, "Oh, 21 days." No, no, the average is actually 60 days. So
Yeah.
at least give yourself some more time to so this is what you see here, by the way, myself and Divine, this is years of practice. And we both say we're still getting started.
Right. Right.
I'm just touching
Right.
tip of the iceberg. So yeah, even though it's frustrating with the onion, but there's a reason for it, and the experience of it when you're able to be, because I think I'm finally seeing the also as I age, because I'm 40, and as I age, I'm starting to see the wisdom of the elders and
Right.
how it's all of us together. And the wisdom of the elders is because they've been embodied for a little bit longer than you.
Right.
So you
Right.
have to honor that and give it time and again, it's about the experience of it.
Right.
There's no other way of doing it. We're these crazy, awesome spirits having fun up there, completely embodied, probably a little bored maybe, and we're like, "You know what? Extreme. Let's go to planet Earth, put on one of those suits, and see what
Hey,
happens."
that's why, that's the funny thing about past lives when we're looking at the lives and when you if you get into it, because not everybody gets into it, but it's interesting to see all of these personalities that we've chosen to be, because it's the personality of the life. That's why the ego dies with this body, right? It doesn't keep going. We get to be, new people every life. But I just, going back to the theta healing, I do love it and recommend it. And definitely Nicole is my recommendation on that. She's actually listed. I have her listed in the tribe. At the end, we'll kind of go over where to find her, where you can look for her to do a session. I would say everyone, if you're struggling with different things, if you see you're in a pattern, a repetitive pattern, I would definitely recommend doing it, because sometimes it's just getting to your core issues. And the reprogramming, I do strongly believe about the reprogramming. I was talking, we're going to get into this right now. I always talk about I'm a girl from the hood who came from the mindset of, if it's not here, I can't eat, the lack energy, that mindset, right? And this journey has changed my life so much to where I am so fucking blessed. I cannot really complain worth shit. Like in the past almost 3 years, I have not been broke. Not once. Not once has my account or money gone to $0.
That's
And
amazing.
so I can, from coming from such a lack and poor background, I have been touched by some amazing people, and you are definitely, I will always say that hands down, one of them. But that reprogramming of the mind is crucial to this path of changing your old belief systems. And when we talk about knocking down those old belief systems, theta healing is definitely one of them. But as Nicole's going to tell you, it's not her doing it, right? You have to jump on the train. One of the things that I love about your sessions, and we'll talk about it, is that how you ask, are you ready to let it go?
Ah.
Let's
That's
talk
what I
about
was
that.
gonna say.
Because it's not like we're going to give you this and we're going to give you that, and this is what you're going to do. It's like, are you ready? Because I
Yes.
remember you asking me, and I had to, a few of them, I paused a little bit, like, am I ready to let this go? Like, which was a huge epiphany moment for me that made me realize that some of my depression and sadness was a choice. I was choosing to go back to it. It was comfortable. It's
Oh,
what I knew.
I
And
was
that's that second session that gave me that really huge push. There was a game changer. And I said, no, I'm going to choose to be happy. And it was just like, oh, hell yeah, we're rolling with this. But it's huge because I will tell you guys, I had to stop for a second and think about it. Do I let this go right now? And it seems so simple, right? It seems so simple. Do I want to let go feeling like shit? Do I want to let go feeling unworthy? But it's very hard in that moment to say, oh, am I ready?
that was my first time too. And it's funny because when I went to my theta healer, she's super powerful, Pam Jackson. I gotta get her on here with you too because you would love
Yes.
her. But she's doing her thing, and this is my first time, so but it's definitely down my alley at that moment. And I
Right.
remember her. She asked me too. The angels are waiting. Everybody's here, and they're asking, "Are you ready?" And I remember my hesitation as well because
Mhm.
that means it's responsibility. All of a
Right.
sudden, I'm going to be responsible for a lot more.
Right.
But I knew that it was that or even more hardship. And I was like, "You know what? Yeah, let's bring it on." And then she goes, "Oh, they're singing a choir of hallelujah." And I just started crying because I was hearing it in my head. I didn't
Oh,
say anything out loud. I heard
right.
the choir in my head, and she goes,
Right.
"Ha, they're singing hallelujah." I'm like, "Oh my god." And then from then on, you just don't look back really. I mean, you do look back sometimes, it's like, "Is this really working?" And then you look at your life, you're like, "Oh yeah, this is working." But it's like, it's funny how you will doubt sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Am I
Oh,
really
yeah.
am I really helping people? Do I? And then I hear all the stories. And it's funny, it all has to do with your willingness to be open. Someone said it a little earlier there. Um,
Elise. I
it
think that's Elise in the tribe, Facebook user.
um, and all these beautiful people are on. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. So what's interesting is the people that are kind of when because it's weird. Let's be honest. When you tell somebody, "Yeah, we're going to do some spiritual healing today," they're like, "Okay, speaking in tongues." We always go to the "you crazy."
Right.
How
Crazy.
However, so there's a lot of guardedness, like, and I get it. I was guarded. It's like, why am I
Right.
gonna open up myself to someone? And that's good. It's important to be guarded. You never know, you wanna
Right.
definitely
Right.
listen to that higher aspect of yourself that's letting you know this is safe. But then, yeah, just you go ahead and lean into that part of yourself as well. But I will say that the more you open up, the more you will see and the more you will allow in and allow out. It's super important. Um, I've worked with this wonderful lady for a little while, and then she's just theta, theta, theta. I'm like, I know it's the best, and just she has the same thing to report like you, just like Debbie. Debbie's talking about it,
Right.
um,
Right.
and it's there's just no words to describe and how quickly it happens. It's how quickly you go from that state of lack mentality and actually being in lack to I believe I am abundant
Right.
to all of a sudden abundance just starts coming in
Right.
droves and
Right.
it's just there to stay and it's
Right.
not going anywhere because you have
Right.
switched that
Right.
energy within you.
Now, there's still times where I start to get anxious because that's just me. I'm an overthinker,
Me
right?
too.
And no matter how much level or grounded you get, sometimes it is what it is, and I have to say, okay, calm down, calm down. And sometimes my daughter's like, around the same time every month you just get a little crazy, and it is. It's because I'm one of those people. I'm very strong Virgo, even though I'm Sag, but I'm very strong Virgo, and then I need things to be where it is and I need it to match up. And when I don't, for a split second, I will start to drive myself crazy. But
I see you because I do the same.
so I have to be like, okay, Wusa, look, haven't you always been okay? Like just sit down somewhere. Like, go sit down somewhere. But one of the things I wanted to touch of the Theta healing, and of course, I can attest because I've done it. Especially, I've done it with Nicole. I will tell you guys that one of the things that hit too was the. I remember you saying and I'm a skeptic. I am, you guys. I try to go through anything, and I've done a lot of different sessions because I'm one of those people who want to learn, and I learn from experience. You can tell me all day about something and I love to learn, but I learn from the actual experience. So I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I'll do it. Let me see. Let me see where it takes me. Let's go down the rabbit hole. That's kind of like
Yes,
who I am, right?
my
And
favorite.
I remember you saying in the first session that this healing that would be, that could happen could heal 7 generations behind and 7 generations forward. It was the first time I heard it in that way. So let's talk about that because yeah, I do have a story, but let's talk about that because I feel like that is so profound that we don't understand, when we're holding on to the generational curses and that stuff. What does that mean for someone? Because it just coincides and goes together.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I always what's beautiful about each healing of that nature, because it's 7 generations forward and backward, it's unbelievable how it's not only in your because we all share so much DNA. I started seeing it everywhere, not just your family, like, somehow it would be connected to mine, and it was just this beautiful you're lifting everybody up, not just yourself, which is starting to change the world in a way that we wanted to for a long time, and granted, there's still a lot of venom and anger and everything, that but that's us, that we're
Right, right,
choosing that at that time. As much as you wanna say, "Well, they did this to me, they did that to me," it's what's happening. Um, you can still choose to be angry at that. And again, sometimes it's not even, it just happens. You're just angry, and that's okay. Be angry, but then do something about it. You don't have to sit with it. You can release it. As you release, so for example, alcoholism was definitely in our family. And so that's something that's both in the DNA and something that had been passed on culturally. I'm from Puerto Rico, so we love our rum, we love our drinking, we love our partying. It's fun. Um, and that's another thing. But there's a lot of abuse that would come with it. My mom was abused
right.
because her parents were her dad especially. And so I never was abused, because she took it upon herself to break that then and there physically in her physical body without going through theta healing. By doing through theta healing, you're actually going retrograde, and you're helping your family, so my grandpa, my mom, like everybody that way and everybody forward. So it just becomes this thing of you're doing a service to the world, and to every single being by healing yourself.
Right.
And then your grandkids, and it's interesting because you can see kids, like, you have to explain to them our past, that we did go through slavery,
Right.
that it's we still have slavery in parts of the world, um,
Right.
that in and that we did that. Yes, it's us. That it wasn't separate from us. No, don't say I didn't do it. It's in that DNA, and we all have it.
Right.
We're all mixed, especially in Puerto Rico, we're all mixed, like,
Right.
there's everything in that blood. Um, and it goes to show you that, that you can heal these things, and you can see them, acknowledge them, and then change the world on as you go forward. So I just yeah, um it is magical. It's weird because it is almost like a little magic wand, because you see it when you are doing theta healing. I can actually go back when I'm doing the theta healing, because one thing I didn't mention earlier, it's not me that's doing the healing, just like Divine said. I just go ahead and say, I ask, but then I witness. So I ask Creator, because we go to that seventh plane, and I say,
Mhm.
okay, it is commanded that this thing change now. If this person's willing to receive it, and if so, it is happening now. And I'm shown all of these things. And when there's these family generational issues, it can be very sad and ugly, because you get to see what happened at the time,
Right.
but then you also get to see it healed with this beautiful light. And then the person, actually, the one that's receiving that healing, has this huge change, that they don't feel triggered anymore. They feel love and peace towards everything. That is where I want everybody to be at.
Right. and it's huge. And that I just love that part about it where it's like you asked, "Are you ready?" And that like I said, it blew me away. Just the technique blows me away. Definitely something I wanna, of course, I wanna add everything to my to my belt, but I love healing. That's why I'm so into healing. This is why healing has always been at the forefront of my path of just wanting people to understand that there are ways to get there. And I will tell you guys from the first session that I had with Nicole, I remember that stuck with me. And I was a little skeptic, like, okay, we'll see, the healing generation, we'll see, But I will tell you, like a week later, I got a call from my daughter at the time, and she was like, I just feel different. And I'm like, what do you mean you just feel different? And she's just like, I don't know. I woke up and it's like this light bulb came on, and she just was like, enough is enough with some things in her life. And it just was like this epiphany. And she was like, I just feel different. And
Wow,
I was like,
forgot about that.
ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding. Oh shit. Like this is working. And even with my mom, because we share the lovely mom issue in
Yes.
our life, and that it changed with my mom as well this year, to where there's no bad blood, there's no mad, no nothing, just it is what it is. And we've moved forward. So I can't say that she's good completely, because she has her own stuff that she still has to struggle with.
Yes,
But far
exactly.
as our connection goes, I do see the change in that. And I have noticed and witnessed that just watching my grandsons and how they move. And they're different. They're different. There's a lot of things they don't hold on to, and they're not running around here with these repressed emotions. They're very fluid in their emotions and feeling, and they're very strong in even dealing with what they feel, and they can get very angry. They're Scorpios, they're little Scorpios, so
Ooh, that's fun. I married one, so yeah,
they can go there really quickly. But I see them, they have such a control on it,
that's
where
beautiful.
they've been in, even like before they, the school that they were in. And I would tell you guys, Colorado elementary schools are horrible. Let's
Oh,
just be real. Horrible, where there were kids that were hitting them every day when they were in Colorado. I mean,
oh my
horrible. My daughter was really, really irritated with the school system out there. um
God.
and they would not hit back. They would not hit back. And my daughter would be getting frustrated, like, what do you mean you're not? You just letting this kid, And that was, and I had to tell my daughter, and I was like, take a moment and just think about that, because he's holding back because of there's something he knows that if he lets go, that it's over, So in this moment, he's having that self-control to not hit back. That is huge. That's
That
huge.
that is massive, massive, because that's changing the world now.
Right.
And the fact that and see, this is where my mom says, they're being born like this. More and more are being born like this. And I think honestly, what she means also is that we are the newest generation, whether they have autism or not. It just feels like there's more, and I don't want to say angels, but yeah, there's more light coming through. Like
Right.
all the babies that I've been meeting, all the little kids. And again, it might be also that my reality, my dimension, because this is another thing.
Mhm.
Um, you create the energy around you. This is another thing that I do. It's like, "Why are you smiley?" I actually have the intention that everywhere I walk, that the light of Creator shine through me,
Right.
that whatever little ego wants to get in the way and be upset, when I'm cooking and I might be upset about something, I stop for just a second and I breathe and I connect, bring in that Mother Earth energy, bring in connect Creator, and I say, please it is commanded that this anger, whatever it is, be taken away, that it is bypassed, that this food be blessed by the light, and that anybody who eats it may be delicious, heartwarming, gratitude be sent to every single product that was created here, everything that Mother Earth, I mean, light everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere I walk, everywhere I drive, everywhere I come in, my intention is that that light come through. So even by just my mere presence, if someone's carrying something, because in Theta healing, you also learn about um, waywards and lost souls and all the little things. Yeah, the possession, the whole thing. We talk about it because the universe is expansive and it includes everything and nothing. All of a sudden you realize that whatever we think as creative beings is, that's how powerful we are. This is
Right.
why manifestation is so important, and that you do manifest your dimension and your reality. So when I see little kids, for example, and for you too, Divine, it's one of those things where it's like the people that come to you now are of
Right.
the highest and they add to that. And then together it's just like this wave. So I'm sure you've heard about this whole new earth and this idea that we're
Yeah.
going into a different dimension. It's happening. We live in this beautiful, my reality is one of pure heavenly joy, even when I'm angry, even when I wanna stab somebody, because
Right.
just like grandchildren, you taught them. That is just my brain teaching me something about this and my emotions are telling me something. They're giving me information, and then what I choose to do with that information is my choice and what
Right.
I wanna create. So, it's
Right.
so important to talk about your emotions. It's important to have them. It's
Yeah.
important to breathe through them.
Right.
You don't have to act on them.
No.
You can see them in your head and be like,
Right.
"Okay, return to sender, back
Right.
to light."
I think that's the beauty of when you really start to go down the healing path, the information of honoring your emotions, honoring your feelings, because they are valid,
Oh,
right?
yes.
They are very valid in what has happened to you or what you've gone through. And I know, like me, that was a struggle of just honoring a lot of things that I had felt and just feeling like I had to push it away and not deal with it. And that's the difference between dealing, actually working through it and just sweeping it underneath the rug and it's still there harboring, right?
Yes.
I wanted to talk about, because I know we're just crunched for time, but I wanted to talk about walk the talk real quick, because I am, look, I got to do her class. She does have her class. She's constructed. I hope that she puts it out for you guys.
Yes, really good.
So whenever she does, I definitely will, be promoting her when she does. But walk the talk for me hit home just sitting in your class, in a lot of things. Of course, spirituality, we learned so much that a lot of things are familiar, but one of the things in there that hit me was the blessing of the food, right? Because now we all go through this. I was someone who turned on religion, lost my child at 15. And so I actually turned on religion, renounced God. What kind of creator, what kind of God is this to let this happen kind of energy, right? And so
Mhm.
anything that had to do with religion, whether it was blessing, amen, bless you, it was just like, no, don't tell it to me. Don't say it to me. I don't want to hear it, right?
Me
So,
too.
um, I stopped blessing, saying that little blessing my food. I stopped that. And then it dawned on me in your class of that, just taking those moments to just appreciate and not necessarily do it in where I gotta bless and off, the the water and everything, but just take a moment to bless the food that I was eating. But what struck me was the way that you said it, because not only did you say it as blessing the food, but you went down the whole line to like the freaking farm of the food, which let's talk about that real quick, because I was blown away with the steps. I was sitting there like, holy shit. Like,
Well, I remember sitting one day and I was blessing my food and I saw the strawberry in my little granola. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, the seeds, and then those seeds." And then I think it was just one of those downloads at the moment. Just remember to bless the whole thing. So I would think about the soil and how the soil that these strawberries grew in needed to be blessed so that the nutrients and whatever pesticides, that everything was switched, changed in a way. And then again, I would witness this in my mind's eye. And what is witnessing? It's a
mhm,
lot of imagination. It really
Right.
starts with the imagination. But what's interesting about it is that it takes off. And when the imagination takes off and starts showing you something, you're no longer in imagination mode. You are being shown something, but you need to
Right.
open yourself up to that. So what I started doing is, and that's very much theta healing, but any kind of intuitive healing, you're gonna have to witness something. You have to, some people feel it, some people see it, some people hear it,
Right.
but what I would see was the soil, the pesticides. It's almost like I could almost see the chemical, the chemistry itself would start changing, so that even though it kept the pests off the vegetation, that whatever you ate did not have the poison that would affect your body anymore, and that your body was much stronger to process all these things. So, for example, with the vaccine, people, I know people on, off, some people love it, some people hate it. Whatever it is that you choose,
Right.
either way, bless it. So if you're going to have to receive the vaccine, or you already received the vaccine, you don't have to give it the belief that it's going to be terrible for you. Because I know
Right.
some people, they were being made to do it, and so they did it. And there should be no animosity to it. So it's just a thing that you've put in your body. So if you can send it love and you ask Creator to do it, then all of a sudden it changes that chemistry, and your body receives it differently. Same thing with sickness. You send your virus, whatever it is, because this is the thing about viruses,
Right.
they are upgrades to the body. All of a sudden, you go through the disease of a cold,
Mm-hmm.
and your body now recognize it. It has the antibody to it. You just upgraded yourself so that this thing
Right.
comes around again. You're immune to it. It's uncomfortable when you're in it. And yeah, some people get really sick, and those people need care. I'm not saying, I love nurses. Nurses are the best thing in the world.
Right. Right.
Doctors as well. It's one of those things, but you bless everything. So when you're talking about food, the truckers that bring your food,
Mhm.
the gas that got to that point, because yes, we created gas in this matrix that we live in. We need to appreciate gas and electricity. We need to find other ways too, you know. And I'm not saying stop there, but gratitude for it all changes the energy. So when you eat that food, your body's already primed for it in a way that it
Right.
receives it, and again grabs the best aspects of this food, and then let's go, and it operates more clean. Again, it's a huge connection between you, your food, and your body in
Right.
the present moment. And what's crazy, you eat less, you eat better,
Right.
and you eat when you're hungry. You don't push things down anymore. That's another thing. People that I work with, when they let go of that spiritual stuff, they actually get lighter, and then their
Yes.
body starts reacting that way too. They get brighter, more
Yes.
light in their face. Divine
Mhm.
looks gorgeous, I must
Right,
say.
everyone has said, "Oh my god, you this year I've been radiating," and I will tell I go back to it, I'm like, "You guys, of course, I've done so many different healing sessions, and then, of course, this year, I will always r attribute it back to the Theta just being the cake topper, for me, because then I actually right after that, lost 50 pounds within a few months,
It's crazy.
and I've lost almost 60
Awesome.
pounds this year.
That's awesome.
So that being weight, of our past and stuff that we carry is huge. It goes hand in hand, but it's something that I started to do where even when I'm sitting in a restaurant now, from the waiter down to the chefs, all the way back to that truck, I'm,
Yes.
saying thank you in that gratitude in that moment. And it really doesn't take long. I see it like a little flashback movie of
Yes.
just going back, back to the
Yes.
hands of where this food came from. And I can tell you guys, it's a huge thing that I practice now, which is awesome.
I
And
love
I will
it.
say, I am happier in my life. I have to tell you, if I don't say it enough, thank you, ma'am,
Oh,
for
you are
saying
so
bringing it in
welcome.
my life because I am happier. The choice of things just being happier and not being miserable, it's changed. And it's sad because I will look back and be like, damn, I was miserable for a very long time. And I was just existing. And I will say it, I was just existing, not living. And
Mm,
now I'm actually living, which is a totally different feel to
oh,
life when you're living.
and you're making others live
Right. And
because your energy is doing that.
it's a crazy thing. I've it's crazy because I'm trying to get used to being that kind of energy where people are looking to me for that inspiration and motivation. I'm getting more into it as I accept my role of what spirit is like. Hello, this is where you're at, right? And
Yes.
And so I'm accepting it more, and I can take compliments now. There was a time where I couldn't take
You
a
did not take
compliment.
compliments. I remember that.
You have to take a compliment and just say thank you, right? It's just thank you. So it's tremendous. If I will always say definitely try it. We didn't really touch access bars. So real quick, what is access bars?
Okay. Access bars, real quick. It is this actually you have to be in person for that, and that is I would touch these. It's called 32 bars in your head. So I would have these different hand positions that activate different bars in your head that are connected to joy, sadness, spirituality, freedom, communion, connection, all these things. And what it is, it's almost like this huge defrag to your mainframe computer, your brain. I've meditated all my life, but the feeling of peace that, and I say all my life, but really meditating in the last 10 years or so. But what was crazy was the feeling of peace after the bars, where it was just kind of like it's quiet in there. There's no chatter. It was amazing. And then it's just like kind of like this swish of because you can feel it's in your body. You're just
Mhm.
energy running through. And then it's just another way of getting rid of junk. The thing about it is that you're not talking through it. You're quiet. You let someone just touch your head, but you feel completely different afterwards. It's just the most wonderful, like, oh, blank slate. Okay, so what do we want to do now, kind of thing. And then they also have all the things that I talk about. Like, for example, when you said I was miserable for so long and I didn't know, it's a shame that I lost all that time. The access people would say, well, what's right about that you're not seeing? What's right about you that you're not getting? So that you don't make yourself wrong in any situation. You
Right,
get to
right,
see
right,
what was
right.
perfect about that got you to this point. Um, and then all of the, return to sender with consciousness. They're all about energy. So they give you all these little things, these sayings that are just magic. They have
Mhm.
this little magic wand called pot and pock. So anytime you have a funky little funk at the moment, and you go, okay, pot and pock that. And it's another way of just removing that energy, sending it to where it came from, and filling yourself up with just that peaceful kind of thing. It's another modality. It's different. I still
Right.
love theta because it digs deep
Mhm.
and it works, and I use it all the time. Like, because it's quickly, just like I forgot to say that. The more you practice it,
Right.
the quickly it is. Like, it is
Yep.
commanded, done. I see it. Oh, cool. Awesome. It's a prayer all the time for everybody.
Mm,
So
mm,
access bars is just another more ego. It kind of convinces your ego in a funky way because of the wording.
mm,
And then,
mm.
of course, the bars is in person. So if you're in Texas, let me know.
Yes. But Theta, she can do remotely.
Yes.
So we didn't really get to hit the Hispanic culture cliche and healing. I
Wanna do
did
the
want to
hot
just touch it real quick for
Of
because
course.
for
I got
those of
time.
you who for those of you, of course, coming from the any type of especially Hispanic religious background, we know that majority of healing witchy stuff is in the closet still. It's still very much in the closet. I mean, people know about it, but it's not like you don't just run around town talking about, yeah, I talk to, dead people and I do this, right? It's more of everyone knows someone, like everyone knows someone to go to
Yes.
for it. So let's just hit it real quick because I think it is a big struggle on the Hispanic community to switch over into healing in this state because one of the religious background, the Thai,
Yeah.
to the one God and the religion and the saints and this in that. And then two, it's the lack of the knowledge
Yeah.
I think behind it in the Hispanic community. So let's just I got to touch that before we go.
Okay. So I would say, because I grew up in Puerto Rico, Santeria is big. And of course, you went to New Orleans, voodoo. The thing about it is, like anything, you have to be maybe a little bit of skepticism is important so that you can really start navigating those things. But fear, if it's keeping you from moving forward, and that you've been receiving messages that it's time for you to look at something. Sometimes your grandma that you had a very strong connection to's been showing up in, like, in your everyday. You smell roses and you're like, oh my gosh, that's totally grandma. Yeah, that's probably grandma telling you to do something about your life. She's trying to guide you so that you'll do something to change it. So with so in Catholicism, we grew up with Catholicism because it's more of, and it's almost like a cultural thing. Because I didn't go to mass every Sunday, but I did end up teaching at a Catholic university for many years, and so they always say, "Be careful. You don't want to let the devil in, right?"
Right.
So that's it can be very real thing. There is a reason why no, not in this space. This is my body. So it really is, you have to go in not necessarily fearless, but to realize that all of these belief systems exist. They you're not they're not for you to live if how do I put it this way? It has to come from you. You have to kinda get past the fearlessness, because I did also have a fear of, "Well, I need to talk to God. I can't be talking to other people
Right.
because anything can come in and take over," and I was afraid of that. And once I did the theta healing and I got past that, it's like, "Oh, these are just things that I allow in. At any point in time, I own it. I don't have to allow it in." Then all of a sudden the fear starts going away. But this is why I had someone hold my hand through that. I had my own
Mhm.
healer that I went through, and I had to get over all of my cultural stuff and be okay with being the odd woman out. And what's crazy is the more I did it, the more truth I got about myself and my own
Mhm.
culture. It's like, oh, okay. So these are the things that are no nos, yet we still do it because we want to know. Should I do this job? Should I be with this person? What's
Right.
funny is that God is within is us. We are it. It's our connection. So you don't have to ask anybody. That's one of the questions that I ask. What do you know that you're pretending not to know?
Right.
Fucking question. But it's one of those things where it's like going to church. The word God, I also had a really rough time with at some point. I'm like, because I didn't like people using God's name, like, well, you're going to hell. People telling me that I was going to hell because of my action pissed me so much that I would just
Right. Right.
argue all the time until
Right.
I finally got past that. And I'm like, oh, this is just their perceptions of my actions or those actions in general. It doesn't
Right.
mean that's the truth for me.
Right.
And so it takes effort and energy at the beginning, but that once you're done with that, it doesn't have to own you anymore. I can still be Latina and be
Mhm.
me, but it's not who I am. I am
Right.
Nicole, who happened to be born on the island of Puerto Rico at that time with these people that I chose to come with. I could have been
Right.
born in China if I wanted to, and I'm sure I did at some point. It's one of those things where it was just like, but this is the programming that I wanted to live and understand. So as a woman too, because we have our own women stay in the kitchen kind of at least in Latin America, we do
Right.
all the things. Guys can go out and do whatever the hell they want and have as many women as they want. And we had to, at least this is what I grew up with, right? I'm
Right.
sure
Right. Right.
Latinas are like, oh no, you would never leave your family or, um, not leave your family, but your job was to be at home with the kids, and then the girls were the ones who had to learn how to clean. The boys could go and do whatever the hell they wanted. Like and
Right.
we're still propagating this, so it's on us.
Right.
So just check yourself, check your family, check where you are, and then move forward from there. It's just, oh my gosh, we could talk about religion all day too, because it really
Right.
is yours. You have to own it. Once the thing about all religions is that they all give you a path and they're not complete. They all are complete together. They all have as like if you put them all together, you're like, oh, okay, this is a more complete version of what it's like to live life. Um, but it really takes some exploration,
Right.
bravery, courage, and letting go of all the fear of what's, whether this is right or wrong. God, it's funny, God is everything. There is
Mhm.
no such thing as right and wrong. We're doing that here on this planet
Right.
because of what we've chosen. And each culture has its own idea of what's right or wrong, even though we have the overarching, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal ones.
Right.
Um, we still have our own. This is why, again, why I love having children on the autism spectrum. Why? Why are we doing this? It's not giving me any peace. It's not giving me
Right.
any joy. I'm not a better person. Why am I following this path? What if I can add other things from different paths that really make me a more whole, complete, loving person.
Right. Right.
I'm not afraid of being with anybody from any background.
Right.
Mental disability, it's more like I can, it's weird because I've seen people with, when they're around people with disabilities, because they don't know how to act. They're like, well, what do I do? What do I say? And I'm
Right. Right.
going
Right.
through it myself with my own child. And my husband's like, just be yourself. What are you talking about? And then once you get to that point, like, oh, it's just be myself. They react in such a way. People with disabilities, it's almost like they see me and they're like, oh, friend. And we can just sit, not
Right.
necessarily talk about anything. They're just doing their thing. We're just doing my thing. I can talk to them, whether they understand me or not. It's all of a sudden they start talking more. It's because I'm at peace with who I am and where I am in life. That's what I
Right.
want for everybody. I want everybody. I don't care about making money anymore, which is interesting because I used to
Right.
very much care. Now it's about how are we going to improve our lives? Because now, if you improve your life, I know you're going to be nicer to the next person you see, which will then trickle down to the next person, to the next person, the next person. So that's how I know I'm changing the world, by
Right.
just giving people permission to heal themselves, to then move forward, to then change the life of someone else.
Right.
I mean,
It's
it's
huge.
magical. It's huge. It goes beyond
It's
everything.
huge. One of the things is what I found very interesting in this path, especially coming from the Catholic background, was the like, because the tier of the Pope, and you go down, and they're the only ones that can speak to God, and they're the ones that are connected, and we're somehow separate. That's something that I kind of struggled with. Remember, I went through that even in my session with you, that I had to remember that I'm always connected to creator's energy. I'm never separate, right?
Yes.
But one of the things is like, well, who do you know who you're talking to? And it's like, well, how does the Pope know they're talking to the God? Like it's
Yeah.
the same thing. You kind of you have to get the feel and that energy and allow yourself to distinguish the shit from the good. And one of the things, and I'll let you explain how you tell people, but one of the things that I tell people is that when you keep yourself on a higher vibration, you don't have to worry about the lower level energies coming in. Now, if you're sitting in grief and fear and all of this other stuff, then yeah, maybe look over your shoulder. But once you get to a certain place, you really don't have to worry about that anymore. And it's crazy because that's how my path has shown me that once I got to a certain level, it was just like, yeah, no. And this year, especially this year, yeah, it's like, yeah, not worried.
Isn't it the best? Because I mean, I know that most of us know when you're like not supposed to go in a certain direction.
Right.
And that's cool because I still listen to that voice. Something's telling me like, yeah, don't go there. Okay, cool. We're not going
Right.
there. We're going this way. But the fact that you can diffuse that kind of energy, and that sometimes you are brought to those spaces because
Mm-hmm.
you are going to diffuse that energy for someone else, that requires, because someone else has prayed, I
Right.
need help. And
Right.
all of a sudden just you show up and the like you're late. There's a good reason why you're late. Even
Right.
though like sometimes I'm like, "Argh." As soon as I realize, I'm like, oh, this is a really one. Okay, so I got to share the story because it's crazy.
Okay.
And it'll go through this because that connection to God is yours. Nobody, and these people are trained to know how to pick that energy. Like
Right.
all priests, nuns, they are trained in this. If we were all trained in this, we would never feel separate. It's like, oh yeah, God's always, you are it. That's it. You're there. You're never separate. Um, but I love it when the physical aspect starts showing you. So the other day I was in my head, kind of like in that fear grief. But not fear grief. It was more like I need to get out of here because I need to go pick up kids. That's my
Right.
thing. And it's super windy. And I'm at Trader Joe's and it was so windy, the cart falls over and one of my bags is filled with olive oil. The glass bottle of full of olive oil shatters. And I'm immediately like, oh, shaken and annoyed. And even though I was ready to kind of be upset about it, I realized I'm like, okay, there's a good reason for this, but I'm still shaky. And all of a sudden, the wind blows again. And right by my foot, lands this card. And it is a picture of the Virgin Mary with her immaculate heart. And
Uh-huh.
because I knew it immediately, I'm like, "Oh, this is" because when things break, I'm always like, "Hmm, what kinda energy am I being presented with? What's
Right,
happening?"
right,
And all
right,
of a
right,
sudden, this wind blows in, I get this card, and I look at it, and on the backside, there's a prayer to Archangel Michael, which is one that I was always working with at the beginning because I was kind of fearful, and I
right,
knew that Archangel Michael is the guy to, come over and do his thing.
right.
And, this is that picture of the,
Oh, wow.
and it's the Immaculate Heart, which, it's the Sacred Heart is usually seen on Jesus, but the Immaculate Heart is a representation of the grace of love, of, of unconditional love from that Virgin Mary side, which is again, this is the universe. God talks to me in the way that I understand. So I am
Right,
closest to Catholicism, actually. So it's
right,
kind of funny that love hate relationship, but there it was. It showed out of nowhere to remind me, oh, that's right. Relax. You're
right.
exactly where you need to be. I walk back in. I tell the people at Trader Joe's, they fill me back up with the exact same stuff that was in the bag. They have me wash my hands, be careful. And they got me back in the car and everything was fine. And God knows what was avoided. What did I have to avoid or where did I have to be at that moment
Right.
that that cart had to fall over and do this? And then that card, and now of course that card is on my altar. And actually it was someone's death. So I prayed for that person, whoever it was, but it was like 4 years ago, like the date on it. So
Wow.
it's interesting that this card had been probably in someone's car, flew out, came to me.
Right,
I could have this story to tell now of the miracles of, like, you're constantly being watched over
right,
and taken care of. Um, and that's the energy, that's how you start picking up on it. You just it's always this energy of pure unconditional love.
right,
There's no fear connected to it. It's like you can let go now. It's like the nicest hug you've ever received. You can
right,
melt into that kind of energy. Um, that's how you know you are connected to something that cares for you and your best and highest. And when you if you can channel that idea, if you can just even just bring it up right now, you think of like, when did I feel the most peaceful, the most loved, the most centered, the most at peace where I was? If you can call that energy in, that's the energy you can take with you everywhere you go. And that right there is you connecting. And the
mhm,
more you do that, the more you start hearing that beautiful voice of peace and love telling you, yes, go here, go do this, go do that. And again, when you say, well, I don't know, this is when I go, what do you know that you're pretending not to know?
always know. We always know. We just, we get lazy. We want everyone to tell us. That's the thing. And I love that theta healing is not that. You definitely do need to do the work, and you are very much awake in a state, but you're there
Yes.
and you're processing it. So where can everyone find you? I will have her website in the description of this live for those of you watching after the live. I have to add it because I think I forgot that, but I will have her website of where you can reach her. But just, where can they reach you should they
So
want to look for
I
you?
have that's so funny. I have, my website is innerpeacebroker.com. So just like you see my name on here, innerpeacebroker.com. And to contact me, just look for the contact page and send me an email through there, and we'll figure out timing and everything. Yeah, the thing about this semester is because I signed up for music, so I've just been doing that, and it's really funny how it's given me the time to learn what I wanted to learn, and all of a sudden all these things start coming back. So innerpeacebroker.com is how you can reach me. You can also read a little bit more through there. So I understand, like me, I like to do my research, like what's this
Right.
really about? Go through. Theta Healing is on there and under the resources page, or I think even services page. It's been a while. I keep redoing it. But look around. I also have a parenting autism blog. So if there's anybody who needs a little bit of extra help, you can check that out. I also have a YouTube channel, except the YouTube channel, I had all the stuff on there, but I need to put all the other videos of talking about all these things, forgiveness. And so I'm
Right.
very much like Divine in that regard. So if you want to hear more me talking, you can find me on Facebook as well, just Nicole Lasswell. And the same thing on the Instagram. You can find me there. You can follow me. I have a bunch of videos. You just have to go back and see them if you want to know
Right,
more
right,
about that. But yeah, just the contact me page is the best way to get a hold of me, and then we just kind of go through there until we find timing. It's usually during the week while the boys are at school, but now that they're getting older, I can actually be in here and do it and
right, right, right.
to
Awesome.
themselves. So yeah.
Actually, I'm going to add your YouTube and Instagram also. So in the description, I
Oh,
will have your website, Instagram, and YouTube.
thank you,
Because she
Lynn.
actually has, even though they're not recent, you have a lot of profound content on YouTube
Yeah,
that you've gone through, especially children on the spectrum, dealing with family issues and things like that, and just kind of working through that. So I will add that. But we do have to do this again sometime.
yes.
Definitely
Love
have to come
it.
back because we could talk all day. That's one thing we can do. We could talk all day about this stuff.
Yes, we can.
Um, but I do, if you guys get a moment and you notice that you're still struggling, I think at when I when I'm not going to say when I reached out, when Spirit brought her right to my life, because it's one of those things. If you ask, and that's what they say, if you ask, it happens. You ask Spirit, you set the intent, and I knew I was at a block. I knew I was at a space where I just couldn't figure it out, which is kind of like the epiphany of like, really, this is what it is. But Spirit will bring you the help, and Spirit brought her my way, and then boom, we got it cracking. And so what you've seen with me this year has been that shift, has been that change, and it's only getting better
Amen.
since then. So I thank you for not only being a healer that has helped me get through some things, but also I do look at you now as a friend and a colleague in this business. And I have learned so much from you. Do know that so much because,
Thank you.
like I said, I'm a hands-on learner. So I have now taken a lot of what you've shown me into my own sessions,
I love
and
it. I'm so
we're gonna heal the world, right? Ripple effects, but I
yes.
feel like it creates waves. I
Yeah.
feel like it creates waves. And Debbie too has
She's
done a sessions, and it's definitely profound. It's definitely a game changer. If you're looking for quick fixes, probably not going to be it, you guys, because you have to give yourself time to kind of decompress, detox. I like to call the sickness detoxing, your
Yeah,
body detoxing, all the
totally,
shit within, right? Um,
totally.
so you definitely have to give yourself time. I'm going to do the horoscope real quick for all the signs. One card of what your day is going to look like. No worries with the mad face. Mad face gets us
Yeah.
recognition also.
Oh, does it?
So even
Yes,
if you send
Debbie.
us a mad face, it actually does us good. Right, right. It takes time, but it definitely is huge. You're definitely gifted. Just your presence is something that is a game changer. So I know we always get this emotional, but man, I have to tell you, you are very loved and appreciated from this goddess to another, like real shit. And I've always been that person out and about, but it was a game changer in my life and really just to where I'm now. So my path has contributed to you as well on my path. And I
Oh
just
my
have to say
gosh.
that to you guys if I don't say it enough. This woman right here is a game changer, okay? Um it is still Sagittarius season. So today's energy for Sag is getting out of your toxic thoughts, right?
Could this be more appropriate?
Getting out of your toxic thoughts, shutting down the negativity. This is telling your ego to go sit in the fucking corner, right? Go in the corner, ego. I'm not gonna deal with this shit today. So Sag is, I love it. I love it. And it's crazy because, having the Sag and the Virgo, the negative thoughts
Oh my god.
come through a lot. Now, of course, Sag is just naturally lucky. So no matter how negative we are, everything always works out because
Fabulous.
we're naturally lucky because Jupiter just has our back like that, right?
It's the best.
All right, let's see. Capricorn, what's your energy for today? Capricorn, what's your day looking like?
I'm gonna grab my charger because my battery's about to die. Hold
Okay,
on.
okay. Capricorn, Today's energy is work on your frequency. Your frequency is very low and you need better boundaries today. So you're going to have some people kind of crossing over your boundaries. And I need you to look at that because every time you allow someone to treat you like shit or cross a boundary or a rule or something that you've said that I'm not going to deal with, you lower your vibration. And so you never want to lower your vibration to appease anybody else or make them feel better. You want to stand in your power, and you have to honor yourself in that way, where if there's something that you really don't get along with or you really don't like, don't just go with it because this is your family member or friend kind of crossing your boundary. You lower your vibration, and it's not a nice place to be. Okay. um Aquarius, things are complicated today. Aquarius, I I will tell you, it's as complicated as you make it, though. It can be complicated if you want, especially with relationships. I think sometimes we want things to be black or white, and sometimes it just isn't. It's gray. And I think on both ends, it just sometimes we have to step out of our comfort zone in our box to say, let me really think about this. I would say today, don't make any hasty decisions about anything. Allow yourself to just kind of process it, because I think there's more to your story than probably what you're seeing. And if you make that hasty decision, you may, have to look back and say, what did I do? Kind of energy. Okay. Penny, you agree that Capricorn energy? Pisces, what's going on with Pisces today? It's the energy of Pisces. Ooh, taking action, Pisces today. I love it. So, this is my card. It's kind of like the Chariot, if we're looking at the Chariot and
Yes.
tarot, because it's getting behind the driver's seat and taking control. So, Pisces, you are taking control today. Some of you guys actually might be traveling or journeying somewhere. Maybe you're going on vacation, but I do feel like this is an action card. So, today it's about actually getting up and handling it, doing it, and going for it, because it's time. I just hear that. I'm hearing Spirit is like telling you it's time.
God, I love these readings. They're so much fun.
Aries. Let's see what we have for Aries today. Aries. Oh, Aries, I'm going to grab you another card. Oh, I don't like this, Aries.
Oh, watch Spirit give you the card again.
Well, I'm going to take it, but I'm going to try to see why, Aries,
Oh, okay.
because I want to see if it's self or is it someone else. So, Aries, unfortunately, you have the betrayal card today. Okay. Dating and romance. So this is going to be significant other kind of energy. This is going to be, I would even say, as far as friendships as well. There is someone in your life that is betraying you, or you're betraying yourself. I will tell you, the part about betraying ourselves is when we allow ourselves to stay in any situation that we know is not good for us. That's the betrayal to self. Sometimes these cards are not always about the other person betraying us, but in this sense, I think some of you Aries have a situation that you know is not good for you. You know it's not going anywhere. You know it's not any sustenance to your life, but you're staying in it. So remember, you have a duty to be loyal to self first. You have a duty to take care of you first. You have a duty to make sure that you are taken care of on all levels. And when we don't do that, we betray ourselves, we betray our inner child, and we betray our spirit. So,
Between the world too.
yeah, that's where you come into that authenticity of it's not selfish to take care of you first. And when you don't, you betray yourself on so many levels. So Aries, today it's about really looking at who are you connected to, who are you dealing with, because
Well,
I
that's a
say,
great day. It's a great day of reckoning. You get to see.
really? Like
All right,
you, right?
Spirit.
Aries might not think so.
I know, honey. But Aries, we're praying for you, sending you some extra love today so that it's easy.
Yes. I think it's needed, though. What I'm hearing is it's needed, necessary, right? Um, Taurus. Okay, Taurus.
That's my moon. Let's see what's up.
Taurus, we got longing. Longing is popping out for you, Taurus. So this could be a loved one. This could be a past loved one. This could be just a friend. This could be anything. Doesn't have to be a person. There's something that your heart is longing for. So whatever that is, Taurus, pick up the phone or go or see or do or whatever it is. Just make sure if you're longing, just pick up the phone and talk. Sometimes it's as quick as a text message. Sometimes it's just that easy. We don't have to make this overly crazy or a shit show. I
Exactly.
think I have a scammer, right?
Yes. I
I
see
love these doctor
apostate.
spellcaster people. Now
Yes.
they're tired of replicating my page, so now they just leave me reviews.
That's hilarious.
I have all these doctor whoever reviews on my page. It's like, thank you. All right, Gemini, what's going on, Gemini, today? So, Gemini, you're not really in the mode of celebration today. And one of the things I will tell you is that we get so bent out of shape of course, we go into the lack energy of what we don't have. We miss the things that we should be celebrating. And we don't have to wait in for the big moments to celebrate. You can celebrate the small things. You can, like me, I celebrate this cup of coffee every morning.
Yes. It's about life. You have to celebrate all of it.
So today you're kind of in the dumps, but it's because you're focusing on what you don't have, who you don't have. I do feel some of it is partnerships. Like I don't have that love in my life. And one of those things, even myself realizing that you have to become happy with yourself to have someone else in your life. You cannot be in the energy of lack to ever have that true, unconditional, loving partnership. I will just let you guys know it's not going to happen. So today, just start to be a little bit more appreciative and celebrate the small things. When you do that, that creates this happiness in your life, and you're like, "Oh, this feels good."
Yeah. You start showing you the love that you wanted to be shown. You start receiving that love because you're giving it to yourself.
Right, and then it attracts.
Yes.
Like
It's
attracts
beautiful.
like, right?
Yep.
Otherwise, you're attracting misery.
Yep.
Misery loves company. It's the
Yes.
same. Um, so Cancer, I feel like you're off to yourself today, Cancer. I feel like you need some time out to self. And I think if you're feeling this way, take it. Sometimes in Cancer, you are very psychic energy. So you do suck in, that energy and emotions and feelings from others on such a cosmic level. So sometimes I do think you just need to retract. That's the shell, right? The Cancer shell,
Oh,
retract the
yes.
shell, right? So I feel like today is just one of those ones. If you know someone who's a Cancer who's kind of quiet today, give them their peace, give them their space. It doesn't mean you can't reach out to someone, but just I feel like Cancer, you just need your space today and you need your time. And it's really that hermit mode of just going within and kind of release and woosah today. Okay.
That's what I love about this stuff. It's like getting the energy. It's the weather channel, like what do I expect today? It's good to
Right.
know though. It's so you
Right.
can be
Right.
aware of that and navigate life even easier.
Right. And just kind of look out because it is pretty neat. Like I was always someone who loved the horoscope. So I was always like, even as a kid, I would
Me
grab the
too.
newspaper
And
just
read
so I
it.
could see the horoscopes or even a magazine, any magazine. I'm flipping through the back to get to the horoscopes because I
Yes.
love to see that energy. But I do remember some of the Sag stuff. I'd be like, this doesn't resonate. Am I really a Sagittarius? And it's crazy because, realizing I have the strong Virgo ascendant is like, oh, okay, or a Gemini moon. It makes sense now.
Yes. The mix.
Leo. So, Leo, today you have some new beginnings today, Leo. But I do want you to stay focused because it looks like your priorities, your mind might be going off to the left, and maybe you need to stay to the right. Spirit's just telling you to focus because you do have this fresh start right in front of you. Something's growing, something's birthing, whether it's an idea, whether you're buying something, whether it's a new job. But just remember to stay focused. I think it's very easy to get deterred from what we're doing because when we have a lot on our plate, right, Leo? So just remember today, you have this fresh start here. You have something beautiful. This is tangible. This is like the ace of coins to me. So it could be a home, it could be a job, it could be a promotion. There's a lot of things here, but you do have to prioritize your life. So do not let anything unnecessary kind of steer you away from the path today. Okay. Stay focused is what I'm hearing for you. Virgos, let's see, Virgo.
That's what we got.
So Virgos, okay.
I love that reaction.
Virgos, you're gonna need to relax today.
Shut up. Does that say perfection and upside down? Ah!
Yeah, it actually says affection, but
Oh,
you
oh,
read perfection, so you know.
relax.
Virgos. So now I will say that some of you are lacking some affection. This could be self, okay, because sometimes we just don't take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves. And some of you could just be missing someone, especially those of us single, waiting for someone or not having someone. Sometimes we do get in those modes of wanting that touch, wanting that embrace, and there is nothing wrong with wanting that in your life. There's nothing wrong with envisioning that in your life. Okay. So, everyone who's single, just remember there's nothing wrong with wanting it. Okay. But Spirit is telling you to relax. I feel like for some of you, it's coming. You just need to be patient. But we know how Virgo is, right?
Uh,
So today's going to be trying day on the patience, right?
yes.
Leela's a Virgo ascendant also.
Leela.
Is very guilty, very guilty. So I will try to remember this today.
Relax. We got
All
this.
right, Libra.
Ooh, hold on just a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, Libra. So today, Libra, it is, there's a lot of regrets. I think some of you guys are just going through the emotions today. People you've been with, people, especially on an intimate level. There are some regrets here. I want you to remember that everything that we do in life, we had fun doing it. So don't look at the past as regrets, and don't look at anyone who's come in contact you as a regret, because in the moment you enjoyed it, or in the moment you liked it, or in the moment you thought it was for you or something that you wanted to do. So today you're going to be in the blues about some energy, but I do feel like just take a moment to reflect, Libra, and understand that forgive yourself. First and foremost, forgive yourself, because, like I said, a lot of times it's just understanding that just because something didn't work out for you doesn't mean it was a mistake. Just because something hurt you doesn't mean it was a mistake. It was a lesson, it's an experience, and allow yourself to have that. Okay. Um, and last but not least, we're going to do Scorpio. All right, Scorpio. I got to get one more card because, okay. All right, Scorpio. So today the energy is taking masks off, Scorpio. I feel like we've had, whether it be family, whether it be in our connections, I feel like we've been holding back. And I feel like today we're actually letting some things out. We're letting some things out. We're releasing some things. We're talking about some things. The deception card for me is not always about someone being deceptive or lying. As they have the mask, I feel like sometimes it's about holding back our true self, holding back our authenticity, and holding back some of the things, even when it comes to holding back dreams or aspirations in because of fear. So I feel like today, Scorpio, it's all about being in that authentic energy. If you're unhappy, you're unhappy. If you're happy, you're happy. Whatever it is that you're going through today, it's own it. Take off the mask. Don't feel like you have to be strong today. Don't feel like you have to put that mask on and, oh, I'm okay, when you're not really okay. Because I feel like for some of you Scorpios, you've had some things going on and you just need to honor that. And we kind of talked about that earlier in the show, of just honoring that, of where you are in your emotions and what you're going through, and understand that it's okay. I always say this, it's okay to not be okay.
Oh my
If
gosh,
you're not
yes.
okay, shit, you're not okay. Own it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
All right, you guys, that's what I got for you guys this morning. I know we went over, but how could we not, right? How could we not
Gosh.
say
We can continue and continue and continue. This is my favorite.
right?
It's
Thank you so much for being our very first guest. As of this is Women's Empowerment Month, and you are definitely a woman in her power, doing her thing, in a game changer in this industry and in this world. Just know that if no one else is telling you that, I have to tell you, just,
oh my gosh. I feel empowered. No, but it really is amazing to be surrounded, and that's another thing, like, the more you're in this energy, the more these beautiful women show up. I
right,
never was, and we've talked about this, you and I, how we were more on the guy, because we have some mom stuff that popped up for both of us,
right,
and, um, so for us, relationship with other women, or at least for me, relationship with other women was very, there was very specific women that I could get along with.
right,
And now all of a sudden these amazing, powerful women are starting to show up for me. But
right,
that's because I finally saw myself as one, where forever I was not. And so,
right.
yeah. Thank you for having me, especially, like, I didn't realize that it was the empowerment month, and I love that you're doing that because we do need to lift each other up. The
Right,
more we
right.
do it, waves up, and
Right. And,
everybody else
I
gets.
was sitting here and I started with women because, of course, I am a feminine energy. And a lot of thing on this path, it's realizing that I can't speak for the masculine population. It's just, I can't. I am a very big advocate for men in because of even though what I've been through, I'm a big advocate for men because I just don't think they get hurt enough in this life. But when I was sitting here thinking of what to do, and I was like, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of great male masculine role models that I even know or talk to or deal with. And so not that I won't or come to meet him, but I know that my presence is for the divine feminine. Like that's something I know. I know I'm a part of my whole job here is to empower and to awaken and to assist the divine feminine to reclaim their power in life. And I
Please.
you guys know I'm such a damn presence. I'm not going nowhere, right? So
Yes! Thank God.
so it was just like that's why I chose to start with women empowerment and focus on women that are not only in this industry on some way, shape, or form of healing or tarot or stuff. And you're gonna see some people come on here who are not even healers or in tarot that are just doing their thing in life. But that was the focus this month. And I do hope to have a month where I can dedicate to some phenomenal male energies because I do know a few, but unfortunately, I don't know enough. And so I was just like, damn.
I want my husband to do something with me at some point, but it's just because that's an empowered divine masculine right there. I mean, to
Right,
be able to deal with me and the kids, I'm a mom, like, I know I have a living saint. I mean, he's not a saint, but, we talk through this stuff, and I want people to see that it's absolutely possible for anybody to have a wonderful relationship, but
right,
it takes 2 to tango. So
right,
if you
right,
have an empowered male and an empowered female together, or empowered persons, however it works out, but the
right,
energies are very much there, and so if they're imbalanced, then it's easier to create something, beautiful and loving and caring and that can really illuminate more people. Um, it's just convincing the men to be like, "Would you like to talk for a few hours?"
it's just
Some of
like
them are very talkative, some are not so much, but mine's like, "Why?"
right,
Because people need to know. They need
right.
to see what it looks like. So at some point, if I convince him, I'm gonna have you interview him because I think that'd be
Awesome.
amazing.
I think a lot of men get into, especially if they have like the feminine is already like out there and doing their thing. I think a lot of them are just like, well, who wants to listen to me? Because even, us, and I'm pretty sure this ran across your mind. It's like, who wants to listen to me? Like, who wants to
Oh,
hear
yeah,
me?
absolutely.
But then you find that your stories alone, just what you went through, hits on such a level. We actually do have a pretty decent male population that watches me because I've never stepped into this path as a male basher.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never been that type of reader. And unfortunately, in tarot, a lot of readers go to the men bashing. It's always the men, it's never the woman. And one of the places or the ways I've always hit this is there's always two sides and
Absolutely.
you have to remember, we have to call ourselves on our shit. And I'm definitely not the one who doesn't call it like it is. It is definitely not always the man. Like yesterday's show, if you guys watched yesterday's show, it was very heavy on the importance of fathers. So if you missed the show yesterday, go back and
I
watch it.
gotta
It was
watch it.
huge on the importance of fathers. And I'm very adamant about it because even though I was a single mom with no help from my daughter's father, I still watched my brother go through the opposite of trying to fight to be in his children's life in the drama in the beginning, of it all. So I definitely know there's two sides and I am that advocate, but I'm here for the divine feminines. I'm definitely here to I haven't really gotten that lead the way yet, even though I see it's part of
What?
it, like, right?
You are leading. This is you doing it. Oh my
I'm
goodness,
getting
you've
used to
been
that part.
wonderful for me. Your support for me is huge. Getting my course going and doing stuff. Come on, come on. I'm like,
And,
okay, I guess I
and
will.
it's crazy because even like the other one, we're going to see Cherie Jackson, who's going to come. I think next week she'll be on. Who's another healer who created a modality, and she said the same thing. Like, this is, I was just saying to Spirit, like, I need this push, and then here you go in
Boom.
my inbox. And I have been that kind of like, because Spirit gives me those downloads. I am an initiator. I am one of those ones that kind of ignite a lot of people's paths, a lot of people who have come through me who were starting off their path and now they're reading and they're healing and they're doing very things. And I love it because it's just, that's a part of the path of seeing these beautiful divine feminines come through my life and being that, because I feel like we have to be there for each other, that
Yes.
support there. And I talk about this a lot on so many shows. There's way too many women who down each other and compete with each other and are intimidated by each other.
Yeah.
And it's sad. And I am definitely one of the ones who aim to however I can, expand and change that, because I don't feel like we need to do that. And I think more of us need to be more loving to each other as the feminine, divine feminine, instead of being so catty and
Yeah.
so petty and
Yeah.
so, I love what you do, and it's profound. And the fact that I got to witness it and experience it on that level, and even taking your class, it's just like you got this. That hopefully, like I said, when it comes out and people can take it, it'll be profound, because it gets you to think on so many levels. And when we're asking, why am I unhappy? Why can't I find a relationship? Why can't I do this? It always goes down to self. And most of the time, we're just not ready to face that part of it.
Mhm. Are
Not
you
ready.
ready?
What, in the beginning of the year, what made me go and do this session with you was I had this epiphany moment of what's the common denominator in my life, especially when it came to relationships. What is the common denominator? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. You're the fucking common denominator here.
On a
What
bricks.
am I doing that maybe I'm self-sabotaging? And it was very apparent that I was self-sabotaging. My fears were still very apparent. My insecurities were hugely there. And it was like this epiphany, like, okay, let's see, what is this? Where is this? And then look, what we uncovered was, it was still so deeply rooted
And,
into.
look at how far you've come in such a short time. Granted, you've been at this for a while, but this was January of this year,
Right, right.
and you continue working it, and then all of a sudden, this transformation. I mean, 2021 was quite the year in that
Oh,
regard, because
yes.
I went what's interesting is watching you do it, and I also went through my own transformation and continue to, that it's almost like we're all kind of there's a few of us that are, all traveling together almost in the same kind of
Right,
dimension, and so we're like we're, some of our other counterparts are going a little further off, so those are the people that we, like, lean to help us out, and then
right.
we can also help the other one, so it's like we're coming together, but it's magical to see how quickly, because really a year is not that long.
No, no, it flies by. And you think, like, one of the things I will say is, you really have to keep doing the work.
Yes. Oh, it never ends. Yeah.
One session, one thing is not going to be enough, especially when it comes, like, for me, I had a lot of trauma in this life. Not even in this life, many life. And in this life, I chose to deal with a lot of the soul suffering from past lives. So not everybody's going to deal with that. And I think this is where we come into the not enough information when you're coming on your spiritual path. There's not enough of real information. And so we kind of feel like we have to do this. And I don't think none of our paths are the same. And I think some of us just choose. And in this life, I have chosen to deal with a lot of that soul suffering and remove it and kind of make this great change and impact, um, not just in the world, but in my life alone and, the people around me. And so this year, it's constant. You have to keep going, and you have to be aware of yourself. Like, you have to check yourself before everything else. It is not everybody else's fault. It is not everybody else that's pissing you off. We all do this projection. People project what they're going through. And I always say this, which has been come to be something I live by. In that moment, you have a choice. You have a choice. You either going to react to the situation or you're going to take a moment. Most of the time, I try to take a moment to just breathe and think before I spaz out.
That's that's why it looks happy and sunshiny. That's it. You're doing it. That's it.
And then I'll come back like, you know what? Yeah, it's not worth it. It's just like, why even bother? Like, what's the, what am I going to gain out of this that's pissed me off in this moment?
And you're just letting off steam. You're not really letting go of the whole thing. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have to go make amends, which is you're gonna take more space and more energy. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was pissed, da, 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 I was this,
Right.
this, this." Still doesn't mean that it's okay for you to be yelling at people all the time. I'm not saying you're not allowed to, it's just that's a
Right.
choice, and there's consequences that come with every choice, so,
Right.
what do you wanna do? Yeah. Then
Right.
it's magical when you get trained, when you train yourself enough to catch yourself.
Right.
And then you end up training everybody by proxy. Everybody watches you. They're like,
Right.
"Oh,
Well, one of the things, especially in love, it's made me realize this year not only my insecurities that were still there, and when you guys see my post, which I haven't done my fitness post in a while because I've just been so busy, you guys. I am going to get back to it. I've taken a little hiatus because one, it's the end of the year, holidays, taxes, everything, and it's just crazy. I will get back to it though. But one of the things that even popped up with that was that my this insecurities that were coming up of that. And so now, with what I've learned from you and other people, of course, I have learned how to stop and take that moment and just breathe and be okay with not being okay, right? And
yes."
to allow myself that and be so very raw and open with it as I post about everything that I'm going through. And even like most of the time when you see people going back to the gym, they're just showing you the gym. They're not telling you the rawness of what's going on when you walk into that gym, the fears, the overthinking, the comparison that you do walking into it. And I always say I'm in an ugly stage of my body right now because of losing so much weight. It is an ugly stage. I didn't say I was ugly. I'm very beautiful, right? But my body is going through an ugly stage where it doesn't match. There's parts of your body that just aren't matching. They're not they're not leveling the same as they used to. So you go through these metamorphoses of physically, right?
Yes.
And it's huge, and you have to deal with that on an emotional level. You have to deal with it on that conscious level, and you have to not I will never make myself love anything in this life again that I just don't love. And that's even with my
That's
body.
huge.
And that was a huge game changer for me this year, is just owning that. No, I'm not happy. I was trying to force myself for a long time to love myself as this big, beautiful woman, right? I'm just going to love myself and I'm just going to embrace it. And I'm not telling anyone to not love themselves as a plus size. And I always talk about being this, that's why it's thick goddess energy, because I'm never going to be skinny, skinny. Let's just be real, right? But but the one thing is not to force myself to try to love a piece of me that I know it's not authentic to who I am. And I think that is huge to be there, because people, to love yourself. And then it's like, then we get the kickback. Okay, love myself, but then society doesn't love me either. So I think you just have to get to a
Wow.
point where you decide where your happiness is, what you love and what you don't love. And if you don't love it, change it. Make the
Yes.
effort,
That's it.
change,
That
right?
that is it. That is it. Always a choice at every point in time.
Oh, Debbie. Just got to post. Debbie's just letting us know.
Oh, Debbie, I'm so glad. Yeah, and you did beautiful. You did trust. And I think that's why you had so much change, is because you allowed yourself to open up the floodgates and really just be like, "I need to know at this point." And you did it in such a loving way towards yourself,
Right.
even though there was, that's a big one when you're like, "Okay, I can do this." And you choose to do that. And yes, you are beautiful, divine.
Thank you. You know what? You do have to have a level of trust, though, going into this, and I would tell you guys, just be open. Don't come with your expectations. Don't come with your expectations to be healed, and that's the biggest problem I see in this particular path, is everyone wants a quick fix, and
Mm,
it's just not that way. You have
no,
to be open and receptive to it.
And it's funny how you come with an agenda, like, "I have issues with my parents,"
Yeah.
or, "I have
I
issues with
need
my
to let go
lover."
of this. Right. I need to get over this. I need to be able to love. I need to get a you just have this list of shit, right? And it's like,
And then you come to the session, and then you find something that was not really related to that, but it had everything to do with that. That's what's
right,
interesting every time. It's like some deep something that, oh my gosh, it's always amazing to see that it's something beyond what you see in your everyday, but it's been hidden in your subconscious and in your DNA and yourself at some point until you look at it. And again, just the asking the questions. It's what
right,
makes you like, "Oh, oh, oh," and then that heals everything else. So, yeah,
right.
don't come with expectations for sure. Just, "Oh,
No,
how does it get better? What's gonna happen today?"
right.
And see what happens. What miracles come in.
Definitely. All right, you guys, I'm definitely going to end. We're almost 2 hours, but
Oh my
again,
gosh,
thank you so much for joining.
sweet.
Like you guys, I will have her information in the description of where to reach her, where to go watch her on her channel and her pages as well. And we'll definitely do this again at some
Oh my
point.
gosh, yes.
And I always have a ball. I miss you
I
terribly
miss you too, love.
in the tribe,
This
but I
is
do
one
know, like I would say, our paths always go where they may. And it is what it is. I have to.
I'm not going anywhere, I'll be right here. You know I love y'all. I'm just learning music right now. What is Oh,
Definitely, definitely. Aw.
just go with the flow. You will guide yourself where you need it to go. Oh my goodness. Yes.
It is
Yes.
huge, it's huge,
And it
and,
continues to click.
a lot of people are skeptics of healing in general because traditional medicine or whatever, and it's just very profound in the when the awareness kicks in. So again, you guys try it, go try it for yourself. I can vouch for it. I've had 2 beautiful sessions, and because of the way that you do things, I've just been able to utilize those tools in my life, and it has changed my life this year
Mm,
hugely,
so
hugely. The way that I move, the way that I think, I stop myself, like I said, even in love of just taking a step back and seeing that I had way too many expectations, even talking to someone or having a conversation or trying to control the situation, which comes from my Venus in Capricorn. But having to fight the Venus in Capricorn energy,
that
even
is
on
heavy.
a relationship, and let control go, which is huge.
That's a huge program right there. Oh, still working on that one too.
Still working on that.
Ah,
Still working on that one, but it's huge. So definitely go do it. And you guys, I also have her listed in the group. I have a section under the guides that says affiliate recommended healers, and she's listed with her information there as well.
yes.
So you definitely can comment, get more information there, or look in the description and figure out where to find her and watch her. But thank you again for joining me this morning.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Definitely, we needed this catch up though.
Yes.
All right, you guys, take care today. Love and light and love as always. Until next time.
Till next
Bye.
time. Bye.